and this is where we're going to be checking out the Specialized Ruby behind me. And in any case, I need to have all these. This is a test live. So in any case, just trying the YouTube live platform, as well as I have this gimbal, which actually will follow me around. So if you get a little shaky there, it's them, it's not me, or it's AI, whatever the case may be. But looking at this bike here, it's a full carbon bike. It's in for a tune-up. And I wanted to feature this because it has some gym qualities to it as I'm working on this. It has a triple chainring up front, which a lot of the newer bikes are gone to a double or old to a single. 9-speed, actually 10-speed in the back on this one. So it does give you that 30 gears of a wide range. And what's really cool about that is it it really gives you that wide range of componentry of going up and down those hills. And being in Colorado, that's one of those things that you definitely want to have. Why? Because we have these things called mountains. If your neck of the woods has those variety of hill climbs and so forth, and you want to make sure you have the gear range to do it with smooth and easy transition, an older bike might be the classic way for you. This one is a full carbon and full carbon fork. They use the FACT kind of grade of carbon, which is their specialized version of it. This was made in Merida in Taiwan. And Merida does own Specialized about 35%. And even with back in the day when Specialized had some issues financially, they were bailed out by Merida. That ownership has shrunken down, so Specialized has regained most of its profit share or stock options and all that. But in any case, this particular bike is pretty sweet because it has that triple, it has full carbon, gives those properties, has what they call the Zert type of technology where there's little inserts that actually help for dampening. That actually technically doesn't do anything for you. They've done some tests, the competitors have done some testing on these particular frames and taken the Zert pieces out and put them in, and the frame performs no different. So in any case, it's a marketing thing back then, but that shouldn't shy you away from this particular bike. What this one's in for a tune is basically they got it and is going to give it to or have their significant other ride it. They came some issues with shifting on this or cable installation. They got totally lost and down the weeds of that, so they really needed help with that and just making sure it's ready to ride. Sorry for the noise because we got some deliveries coming and so forth. But without further ado, let's start breaking into this bike and start getting it ready and tuned up for the rider. So let's just move the camera around so you can actually see me a little bit better than what I'm doing right here, and we'll start the tracker so it follows me around. In any case, new toys and so forth, so hopefully this doesn't gyrate you too much. With the particular older shifters, we do come across issues of it gumming up over time because the Shimano grease that's in there will do that. And oh man, he really was fighting it. He folded the cable over and it's pinched up and bound inside there. These are extra bits and so forth. He took the caps off. I thought they were broken off, but he took the caps off thinking he'd get to the cables. Nope, not gonna happen. The caps are nothing but aesthetics, and when they break, they have no functionality issues and so forth. The brakes I'm gonna pretty much leave alone because he just wants to get it basic, and that's really all he wants to spend is for me just to fix the shifting with the new cables and housing and wrap it and kind of go through it. Well, for my professionalism, I like to just add a little something. So I will clean the frame, maybe clean the drivetrain if it's really dirty, and through the wheels and kind of give it a nice a coating or a polishing at the features. So the bike does still have that wow factor when they pick up the bike and that kind of thing. So, well, you got the cable out of this one here, and actually the shifter on the left side, which is a triple, seems to be working fairly well. But on the other side, it's either, I can feel it's gummed up, so it's like sticky. So, well, to start off finishing with that, you could either shoot some lube inside there or some degreaser. So I'm gonna go over here and grab my degreaser, which is basically a little bit of fluid here. And, oh, you gonna find me? There we go. So with these particular shifters, they do open up. When you open up the, like, start shifting, it opens up all the pawls and everything, so you can actually try to spray some stuff in there. I might have to remove the shifter itself and flush it in hot water or throw it in an ultrasonic cleaner. The drawback on that is to take the shifter completely off. It has these sticky, basically gel wraps to them. So, needless to say, that may not work. So, how am I going to get to this? He's starting to flare out here, and he boogered it up. Maybe I can get it straight. Okay, I pulled it straight. And I need that shifter to release. And, oh, there we go. If you give it a light tug, you can get it to open up a little bit. And that's maybe release some more. Come on, release. Yeah, this is pretty stuck. So what I'm gonna do, take some famous Tri-Flow and see if I can get it to loosen up inside there and release, and give it to, oh, there we go. Kind of give it a little massage. It's clicking a couple times, but the cable's not moving. So the cable, he really boogered that up. Or the cable fell outside of the mechanism. And I've been in scenarios where I had to fish these out and during an event, and let me tell you, it's no fun. So you can kind of open it up. There we go. What I want to do is I want to cut it. There we go. Got it to really, there. Boop. Finally got it out. No bueno. So, will the Tri-Flow make it come to life? It feels pretty good. I don't think I really need an ultrasonic kit and flush it out. Yeah, that has some really good action to it now. Just needed some proper grease and good to go. These caps are really goofy. You have to really get that rubber piece over that. Okay, there we go. Also to note, Specialized made specific inserts on these where it brings the brake lever down closer for the ergonomic for a smaller hand. This is a women's specific design where they really pushed that back in the day, which they now shied away from it and gone to more generalization of their bike line to cut down SKUs. And then they basically rely on a lot of people doing the fit over fashion function when they're buying a new bike or used bike and that kind of thing. So I'm gonna see if I can stop my gimbal here. And there should be some chat on this, so. So if you guys have any chat, feel free to ask a question. I'm seeing if I can get it to pop up. I'm doing this off my phone through the YouTube app, and so I usually use a platform for that. And okay, maybe the chat will pop up. So in any case, yeah, here we go. So got the cable pulled out, shifters. I'm just gonna flush that other shifter while we're here. If you're watching this on the replay, put some comments below. And sometimes it just takes a little bit to get these things to come back to life. This was actually in pretty good shape, and I will be inspecting this to make sure that it doesn't have any major damage or anything like that. So I'm gonna start my gimbal again there so it'll follow me around. So basic tune, you're just looking for anything that's out of adjustment. So the hub feels smooth. These are okay wheels. You can notice that the hubs are really small. Not very many bearings in there to distribute the load. It's okay for lighter riders, but for a chubby individual like me, this is no bueno. They'll fail at a certain point. They're really cool and lightweight-ish, but not that great. That's the original. The rear wheel here, it is not. somewhere along the lines during the venture, this rear wheel, oh, he lost me. Here I am. This rear wheel is different. It's the Ultegra rear hub with the Mavic CX-P33. These wheels were built and used on a lot of different models of bikes. So, any case. Again, I don't know if the tires are flat or the tubes are flat, but the tires look, well, this one looks fairly new. So I'm going to air them up, so by the time I'm done with the repair, if they've lost any PSI, I will definitely replace the tube. And again, this is like the light and polite tune-up. They didn't really want to spend a lot of money. They want to keep it economical, which is no problem. But I don't want to short out any safety issues or concerns while working on that kind of thing. And I don't want to go back to them and go, hey, by the way, this is wrong. Only when it comes to big, and because that usually gives a bad stigma of it may not feel like I'm ripping them off, and I don't want to do that. So these wheels are pretty slick. I mean, they have a little arrow to them. Pretty well known. Mavic used to be really known. They're no longer a company. And Shimano Ultegra, which is the second down of the top of the line componentry group, is pretty good. And these hubs are smooth. And they do go up to a 10-speed. So if you have a classic 10-speed and want to go up to that, you can with that. So pumped up that guy. And now I'm going to pump up the front, which feels a lot more firm. And with the wheels off, this makes it a little bit easier for me to inspect the frame and so forth, that kind of thing. So I'll try not to be jerky in my motions and cause the camera to move around too much. Yeah, technology as a birthday gift, so we'll see how it works. Also on the tripod on that is kind of light, so it may jiggle back and forth a little bit. So we will true those here in a second. We'll wash them first and then true them. And here we go. So the tune-up package that they picked did not include a drivetrain clean, although it could use it, but in any case, they didn't want to pay for one, so therefore, here we are. And checking the chain. It has a little bit of life left on it. It's getting close to 0.5, not quite there, but it should work fine. Oh, he did bring in an extra couple tubes, so if they do go flat, I have those replaced. Some tire or pedals. And this is the caps and end caps for Specialized if he wants to use those. I got some Cicelli tape coming in. I would not do a gel back tape on top of a gel insert. That makes it really too big. So in that case, I would probably avoid that. And looking at the rest of the bike, I mean, the brakes seem to be pretty good. The brakes get glazed over on a lot of rides, so what I do on this guy is you basically sand them down a little bit. If it gets beyond those hash marks, then it's time to replace them. These are a cartridge style, and you can get the Shimano cartridges, which are not too terribly expensive to bring those brakes back to life. So I've had that on several bikes that the brake pads are just old. They just hardened up over time, and putting some brake pads on there just made them a lot more responsive and worked out really well. Oh, guess you can't see me through the stand. Little gimbal. All right. So, FACT carbon, which is, they have the description here, functional advanced composite technology. This is when they started layering carbon, which kind of revolutionized the carbon manufacturing, which is still being used today to some levels. And this is where this particular carbon frame, I mean, you can see the weaves and coverings of different layers underneath some of the clear coat on this guy. So this particular bike, first you clean, and then you polish. And if you do the detailing like I do, then you get most of the parts off so you can access all of it. And that's when you do the polishes, the scratch repair, the restructuring of the clear coat as much as you can. Then you do, after you do the whole polish, then do the ceramic coating. This does not have that package, so it's really just a, his main address was getting the shifting and the cables and housing, which we're going to get that installed pretty easily and put together and adjusted. So that particular tune-up package is usually the lower price point ones, usually around $100 or less in current market value. But things, depending on your neck of the woods and how things are changing, they may get more expensive or they may not have as many availabilities. So there's a lot of different changes in the industry in that part of it. But being a classic of like a this old bike, which it is a this old bike, I refurbished several of these during the COVID reign and still today. And I rode one for a little while personally, and they're nice. They're lightweight. They absorb a lot of the road vibration, which basically the Ruby is the Roubaix female version or the ladies version of the Roubaix version of Specialized, if you're looking at models for the same vintage. And then that is really an endurance bike. And this is where those endurance bikes versus race, kill your back, destroy your posture, make everything numb on you bikes. Race bikes, this is where they've like, oh, we're going to put a trip on there, more comfortable. People can go for longer rides, more upright position, taller head tube angle, taller stem. And also these stems, they're designed to have, they have a shim in there so you can adjust a 2 millimeter up and down on the upside, or also you can flip it to be more aggressive on the downside. When we built these up, I mean, I was working in a shop when these were new, which we carried Specialized. And yeah, they're, some nice adjustments. Also external cable routing. That means you can, 1.1/8" headset, 68 bottom bracket shell, external cable routing, 130 spacing of the drop in the back and 100 in the front. You can get a whole bunch of new parts that's still available. You can add different forks, different bottom brackets, different cranksets. A lot of versatilities to these still, and still very relevant. You can pick up something like this for $500 and less in a lot of markets right now. Get it fixed up. Be still a really solid full carbon bike under $1,000 with mid-range to upper end componentry. Under $1,000, ready to ride, comfortable, and comparable to what today is. $1,500 to $2,000 for the low end of the new product. So used is the way to go if you can find the gym and the size that you're looking for. And size on these are really tricky because they did a compact frame. So measuring it by centimeters or millimeters is not going to give you the exact number that you're looking for. So you're going to have to reference a lot of their old catalogs for sizing charts and so forth, or go to geometrygeeks.com. It's usually a good resource for that. So I got the frame pretty cleaned up. Then now I pursue to my polish, which I'm using Color Crush. This has a little bit of ceramic properties to it. And what that does is help water beading, UV protection, keeping it clean, and also brings out the color of the frame. These particular paint jobs are actually pretty nice, as in color-wise. They have some sparkle to them, as in the clear coat, and you can see some of the carbon overlay underneath the clear coat with the blue fade. So they did a lot of attention to details on these guys and made them really, really pretty. So in any case, a little bit of polish, correct polish, and it's higher grade paint, so you want to use auto paint polishes. Because that's what the best practices are for that. I use the lithium product as well as Adams. So, but I'd go and